Tonight, Premier Scott Moe says he's ready to use the notwithstanding clause to protect the government's new school pronoun and naming policy. But what does that mean? Also, the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada tried to take over the town of Kamsack and failed. Plus,
I see endless possibilities.
How a Saskatoon man was inspired to turn kitchen utensils into beautiful works of art.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, September 14th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Premier Scott Moe says his government is prepared to use all tools to make sure its naming and pronoun policy remains. That includes the use of the notwithstanding clause. But those who have filed a lawsuit against the government say using the clause would prove its case. Adam Hunter has the story.
Saskatchewan's new policy requiring schools to notify parents and to receive parental permission if a student under 16 wants to change their name or pronoun has drawn both support and criticism. Premier Scott Moe says the government made the policy after hearing concerns from parents, and it's meant to keep parents informed. Protests have happened recently in both Saskatoon and Regina against the policy. Moe has said legislation protecting parental rights is coming in the fall. The Saskatchewan United Party is calling for Moe to invoke the notwithstanding clause in order to prevent the policy from being affected. The government says it's not ruling that out. In a statement to CBC, the government says, as Premier Moe has indicated, our government is prepared to use all tools to ensure that parental inclusion and consent policy remains in effect. That could include using the notwithstanding clause, but no decision has been made in that regard. If the government uses the clause, it could pass a law overriding certain sections of the Charter of Rights. Those involved in the lawsuit say the policy is harming children.
It's very disappointing that the government is already talking about using the notwithstanding clause, but it's not surprising. It means that the government recognizes that this policy is likely unconstitutional, and they are sufficiently indifferent to the well-being of children in Saskatchewan schools.
Goldenberg will be in a Regina courtroom next week arguing against the policy. He and his co-counsel will also be asking the judge for an injunction to pause the policy while it goes through the court process.
Because remember, you only need the notwithstanding clause if a policy or a law is contrary to the Charter. And for this policy to be contrary to the Charter, we will have to establish in court with evidence that the policy causes harm to children.
The opposition NDP education critic Matt Love says the government's policy is divisive and a distraction. He says parents really care about class sizes and increasing supports to their children in school. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
Online myths connected to gender and sexuality in the classroom. The Good Spirit School Division in Yorkton is using Facebook to share its message. The posts detail misconceptions about school policies and counter them with facts. One myth is that students are allowed to identify as furries and use litter boxes in schools. That's not happening in the schools, despite persistent rumors. The division says it will keep posting over the next few days as a way to explore student rights. The Yorkton Pride organization applauds the move.
This infographic shared by Good Spirit School Division is just good model. And I think that if other school divisions kind of took this and did something similar, it would be very helpful as a first step in some of that communication between the schools and the parents.
The Director of Education at the Good Spirit School Division says it's becoming more important to debunk the myths going around. The division covers 6,000 students in 28 schools throughout East Central Saskatchewan. People in Saskatoon will not be getting a brand new central library for a while. The construction plan is being scrapped. The library says it received construction bids for the proposed project in August, but they all came in way over budget. The construction tender for the ambitious and innovative library had to be cancelled. It was originally predicted to cost $134 million. Now the library plans to work with the construction management service to help design and engineer a more cost-effective design. The extent of the design changes will not be known until next year. But what we do know, the library will not be asking the city to borrow more money for the project. The self-proclaimed QAnon Queen of Canada was forced out of Kamsack yesterday. Romana Didillo is a cult leader who tours the country in her RV with her entourage. Kamsack residents woke up to find the group in their community, and as Nicholas Frew reports, they weren't happy about it.
You go home, wherever you came from, get out of here.
This is Ramona Didillo's RV and her entourage driving through the streets of Kamsack. Clearly not welcome, they told the mayor they were here to, quote, clean up the town. The mayor says she was not impressed.
How does this become your town? I said, well, I'm the mayor of the town and I live here. So that makes it my town. I said, why are you here saying you're going to clean up my town? You didn't approach me, you didn't consult me, and I don't appreciate you being here and claiming to be able to do this.
Anti-extremism agencies say Didillo started as a QAnon conspiracy theorist, but has turned into something else. She claims to hold many titles, including the Queen of Canada and the National Indigenous Leader. She has amassed a following on social media and travels the country in an RV with devout followers. This criminologist, who has studied Didillo extensively, says Didillo issues decrees that include a tone of violence.
Quite regularly, she puts out shoot-to-kill orders, which are very concerning because oftentimes they're targeting like healthcare professionals or firefighters, people along those lines who are, doing good in society, but whom she is deemed to be the enemy.
Kamsack officials say they started interacting with the group yesterday morning. Didillo stayed in the RV while her entourage did the talking. Town leaders called a nearby First Nations chief and called a meeting for that afternoon, and invited Didillo. Meanwhile, officials say a couple of hundred townspeople lined the streets, telling them to leave. In the end, we're told Didillo did not attend the meeting, and the group had packed up and left the town with an RCMP escort before 4 p.m. RCMP didn't respond to CBC's request for more information, and neither did Didillo. Nicholas Frew, CBC News, Regina.
Construction is complete on the Horse Dance Lodge in Regina. It's the first project under the city's Rapid Housing Initiative. Regina Treaty Status Indian Services will be in charge of the services in the building. The tribal chief of File Hills Qu'Appelle Tribal Council says supports offered there will help people with their careers and their lives. He says it's more than a Monday to Friday system, working with people to ensure a sense of independent living and responsibility.
What we do know for sure is that the more support that we see people that really want to make a go of it, the more support that they get, the better outcomes that they're getting to. So this is something going to be really positive to let's try this. Let's put more pieces in play and see how much more positive outcomes that can be generated from this.
There are 29 units in the building, which can house about a maximum of 45 people. The Rapid Housing Project received money from all levels of government. That includes $7.7 million from the federal government as part of its national housing strategy. While many of our bills are going up these days, one is about to go down. SaskEnergy rates are expected to decrease starting next month. Commodity rates per gigajoule are down a whole $1 to $3.20 a gigajoule. The delivery rate did go up about 5%, but the two rates combined mean most households will pay about $6.50 less each month. CBC News has learned that Canada's telecom regulator has hired a private firm to investigate the massive Rogers outage in July of 2022. The outage left millions of customers without cell and internet service for days. Critics have said the CRTC is being too secretive about the probe. Marina von Stackelberg reports.
Oh, my boss just, messaged back. Yep, her internet is down as well. Yep.
It's no fun for everybody.
Trying to use Google Maps, but my data wasn't working.
More than 10 million customers across the country without phone and internet, some for days. More than a year later, the CRTC says it's contracted a private engineering consultant. Zona Partners will investigate the network outage and decide if Rogers has done enough to prevent a future one.
It's kind of like sending in investigators after the body is cold.
Groups pushing for more transparency say the CRTC could have acted sooner and done its own probe.
We can't see how that engineering firm is doing its work. We also don't know if the eventual report will be made public or redacted or mostly confidential or partly confidential. And I think the public would like to know just what occurred at Rogers that could lead to such a large outage all at once.
The CRTC did force Rogers to provide some details. Those are public but heavily blacked out. Rogers says because it's commercially sensitive information. It also won't say how the outage stopped some Canadians from calling emergency services. The company says releasing those details could risk its network security.
Rogers just sort of invokes these safety concerns in a very broad manner to prevent disclosure of really basic information, like how many 911 calls were disrupted. The actual process of the review for the Rogers outage has been shrouded in secrecy.
Rogers says it has done a full review of its network, writing in a statement, "We have implemented several enhancements and safeguards. We will continue to work with the CRTC to ensure Canadians have access to reliable telecommunications services and timely information."
The CRTC is in the midst of its own consultations. It wants to know if it should do more to regulate how telecoms communicate with Canadians during major service outages. But critics say the regulator is moving too slow. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
With a rough Banjo Bowl loss in their rear view, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are getting ready to host an Edmonton Elks team that's recently found their spark. Edmonton started the season 0-9, but are 3-1 in their last 4 games. Elks head coach Chris Jones gives a lot of the credit to the team's new starting quarterback, Trey Jones, and his ability to move. The 25-year-old will be making his 6th straight CFL start tomorrow night. Ford has thrown a touchdown pass in each of the 5 games he has started this season.
When I went to the Buffalo tryout and I got to see him throw for the first time in person, I called Jay Jack on the phone. I told him, I'm like, hey, man, we need to pull film on this guy and watch him because he can make all the throws physically. And, and sometimes he'll make you scratch your head, and then there's other times where it's like, wow, So, but he's still in development. He's done a real nice job. He's a leader. He loves to compete.
I'm just excited to play. It's the first time that they're going to see me actually play live, which I feel like is a slight advantage for me. Because watching it on film and actually being on the field are kind of two different things, especially the speed of the game. I feel like, not that I look slow on film, but I feel like it's a lot faster in person.
Riders head coach Craig Dickinson says containing Ford is his biggest concern. That will be key for a Riders defense that let the Bombers score on every drive except one in their last game. Kickoff tomorrow night at Mosaic Stadium is at 7 o'clock. An exciting morning in South Regina as a brand new playground was opened at Argyle School. One organizers hope will be a place for everyone.
I think we have a lot of newcomers to our community that are looking for a space to gather, are looking for an area to play. There may be barriers for things like organized sports. We have the soccer pitch, we've got our basketball courts, just really, really lots of opportunity for not just children, but also people to come together.
Members of the Argyle school community, including staff, students, and parents, came out to celebrate the project this morning. The accessible space came together thanks to donations and sponsorship from the community, as well as the sale of thousands of hot dogs. In addition to the soccer and basketball areas, there's also an accessible playground, picnic tables and benches and green space. The park's located on Lakeview Avenue at the new Argyle and St. Pius Joint Use School. A delicious start to the day in Saskatoon. Siga and Dakota Dunes Casino hosted the 5th annual charity pancake breakfast at White Buffalo Youth Lodge. It supports the Youth Lodge's Youth Council program, which encourages youth and leadership skills. Many local leaders pop by to serve up pancakes and offer their support. We'll be back after the break.
When it comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust. This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
Welcome back. Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. A windy one out there today.
Yeah, people getting blown around really across the province, no matter where you were. We saw those gusts in excess at times of, at close to at least 70 kilometers an hour, especially in southwestern Saskatchewan around Swift Current. And those have pulled back a little bit, but still quite breezy at this hour. A lot of us over the 50 range as well, especially in southern Saskatchewan is where we're seeing those. And that is the result of this area of low pressure over west central and northwestern Manitoba. And you can kind of see we actually saw a little bit more cloud cover than expected today in portions of south and central as that system dropped a little bit further south than we thought. And Regina, we're just seeing some showers actually just passing to our east as well right now. And where those showers are falling, of course, as we've seen over these last few days, temperatures a little bit cooler. We're getting into those kind of low teens, closer to 10 degrees in some places like Meadow Lake, but in the sunshine in southern Saskatchewan and especially kind of closer to that southern border, still temperatures at this hour a little bit closer to 20 degrees. Northern Saskatchewan, still dealing with widespread air quality statements, except really for the far northeast of the province. But we're still seeing air quality health index levels here very close to a level 10 out of 10, and that likely expected to continue through the night tonight and possibly into portions of southern and central Saskatchewan as well. And as we get into tomorrow morning, but as we head through the day tomorrow, we're looking at that smoke thinning out and moving out as well. And a little bit of a reduction in fire and smoke activity out to our west means that we may just see that start to die off as we head through the day tomorrow and also into the start of the weekend. And not only is the smoke clearing, likely going to be seeing those skies clearing too. Possible showers tonight in eastern sections of southern and central Saskatchewan, maybe some thunderstorms as well in the north. But we get into tomorrow and we can see that this system is continuing to move away. Maybe some spotty showers closer to the Manitoba border and in eastern sections of northern Saskatchewan, but a lot of sunshine for especially the western half of the province. And then Saturday and Sunday, definitely looking at things staying pretty clear. Not a whole lot of activity expected weather-wise as we head through these next couple of days. Now, it will be a little bit breezy at times tomorrow morning in southeastern Saskatchewan and maybe even around Regina as well. But heading through the day, and especially as we head into the weekend, starting to see those winds pull back a bit. Northern Saskatchewan, this passing low pressure system through the Northwest Territories and Nunavut could pick up gusts a little bit at times Saturday. Then there's our temperatures. A little bit of a ridge developing here out to our west will keep us likely above seasonal as we go through these next few days. That trough that we've been seeing making things a little bit unsettled beginning to move out. And definitely going to be pulling those temperatures up, as you'll see here in southern Saskatchewan and Regina over these next few days. Quite a nice day for the Rider game tomorrow, I should say. I think the evening will be quite pleasant. And then there we go, getting close to 30 degrees Sunday before we see things start to come back down closer to seasonal values into next week. Saskatoon, as I've been saying, probably not going to get that warm as southern Saskatchewan. But again, almost 10 degrees above seasonal for this time of year. So it's like this, Mother Nature has just planned it perfectly for us, Sam. The weekend is just wonderful.
Not mad about it. Not mad about it, Ethan. Thanks.
You bet.
Well, check out this corn maze created yearly in New Brunswick. It's always different. And this year, they're paying tribute to a pair of iconic Canadian musicians, folk singers Stan Rogers and Gordon Lightfoot. The maze contains a multiple choice trivia game for visitors to test their knowledge. There are 10 question stations to find, which are hidden throughout the maze. We'll be back after the break.
When it comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
Welcome back. There might be some beautiful art hiding inside your kitchen drawers. A Saskatoon man is proving it, creatively transforming old forks and spoons to intricate steel sculptures.
I take unwanted silverware or stainless, any kitchen utensils, and I make them into art pieces. Basically, I'll start with even picking up a spoon and just moving stuff around together, seeing what I can shape with it, start bending it. Sometimes I start creating one thing and it turns out to be another thing. It just takes over and I can see it coming together, so I just keep carrying on that process. The first thing that I built was a dragonfly for my wife, and it was made out of actual silverware. And I found out real quick you can't weld silverware. Somehow it kind of melted together and it became what it was, but then I realized you have to make it out of stainless.
I see a spoon and a fork and a glass. What do you see?
I see endless possibilities. I've got totes and totes full of cutlery that is just waiting to be shaped into something. And it'll tell me at the time what it wants to be. I had a friend, he got into an accident, his son, and I was welding with him at the time. We had a big project for the university, and it was actually using stainless. And the stainless job actually happened. We were building it during the accident, so I took over the job while he was looking after his son. And that's kind of where I learned how to weld stainless.
And you took it on
And then
there.
took on from there, and this is what I get. Little chicks, one in an egg. I found people like three things: either shiny things, rusty things, or colored things, like paintings. I'm not a painter. I do like the rusty things, but the stainless, for some reason, it just shines. And you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can put it outside, you can put it indoors, you can put it anywhere.
Well, that was incredible. Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
Yeah, amazing indeed. All that steel going to be glinting in the sun tomorrow that we have throughout the province. Maybe a little bit hazy, though, to start the day in Regina, starting at 12 degrees. And those northwest winds will pick up a little bit as we head toward the noon hour. But after that, we should start to see things diminish a bit as we head kind of through the afternoon and into the evening hours. Saskatoon, I think, a bit less of a chance of seeing some smoke and haze for you tomorrow morning. And that sunshine definitely going to stick around through the day. Winds nice and light around northwest up to about 15 or so. This is a nice view of Saskatoon. So is this. Bob captured this gorgeous shot of the city the other day under pretty much the same conditions I think we'll see tomorrow as well. And I call this one a touch of fall, Sam. Maybe that's a new Just for Men product for all the fall colors out there.
Why a men's product?
And they're going to need Rogaine soon too, because they'll all be gone.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Oh boy, following that, before we leave you, some kids are learning to golf for free thanks to a national program's expansion into the prairies. First Tee is a youth developmental program that started in 2021, and it operates across Canada, including at Regina's Lakeview Par 3 course and at Saskatoon's Wildwood Golf Course. First Tee works with community groups, including the YMCA Regina and Girls in the Game, to promote the program and find potential golfers. It also connects with schools to get kids involved. Organizers say the goal is to help make golfing a sport that more people can participate in.
Golf has notoriously been a tough sport to get into for a first-timer, and it hasn't always been the most barrier-free for sure. So our goal is to kind of break down some of those barriers, some of kind of the financial barriers to the sport, the transportation, stuff like that, to make it more accessible for kids throughout the prairies.
Kanoya says golf is not just a great way to spend time outdoors, it also teaches life lessons like patience, respect, and integrity. If you know a kid that might want to try golf, connect with one of the courses or go to firsttee.org. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/sask, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Ethan and I will be back with more local news and weather, and maybe some jokes at 11. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.